episode of Success After Lockdown.
Yeah.
Under Exodus Productions.
Yes, sir.
So you got my boy Anthony in the building, my co-host today.
BX, baby, all day in the
BX in the
house.
building all day, every day. And we got a great guest today, brother L. His name Leron. You know, good brother. We get ready to get into his business. Yeah, what he doing?
Brooklyn in the house. BX, baby. BK.
Yeah.
Think about that.
So, with that said, man, I'm gonna turn it over to the brother Anthony, man.
Man, first of all, welcome on the show, L. Thank you, first of all, for coming out, man, and being a part of this show. We stacked a few questions, man. Like, we already know you from BK. All right, where at the BK? Brownsville. Ooh, grimy Brownsville.
Yeah, never ran, never will.
We get a bad name. Brownsville get a bad name.
Yeah. Tell me, how much time you did, man? Tell the people.
24 and a half years.
24 and a half years. Wow. What was it like growing up in your household, man, Brooklyn, in your time, in your era?
Well, inside my house was a safe place. Come from a close-knit family, large family. My grandma, she was, the matriarch of the family. I think she brought me up the best way she knew how. It was always love, and I was her favorite. I'm still her favorite. I'm her oldest grandson. You know what I'm saying? But in the early '80s when the crack hit, that's when everything changed for me. My mother, like many people that come from where I come from, got addicted to crack cocaine, and that was a major turning point in my life. I usually don't share the story, but when I was about 7 or 8 years old, my mother kidnapped me out of school, and she had married some guy she had met, and in the middle of the day, she took me out of school, went to Port Authority, and got on a bus.
For drinking.
Yeah, 5 days. Imagine me being 7, 8 years old, not knowing what's going on.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? And that was a very traumatic point in my life. I think that was when the changes started in me. My behavior, my anger grew because I watched my mother being verbally abused, physically abused. I was physically abused, verbally abused. And my grandfather, who passed away, so my grandmother recently told me this story a few months ago. She, right after I came home, she said my grandfather had a dream and woke up in the middle of the night and called down to Missouri. We went to Kansas City, Missouri, and told my mother's husband that if he didn't put me on a plane, that right there, that he was gonna come down there and hurt him. They woke me up, got on the plane. I was on the plane by myself. That's when, back in the days, they had the flight attendants with, chaperone, person, and they came and sent me back to New York. A short time after that, a few months after that, my mother came back and she was bad. Like then I didn't understand what she was going through, but as I got older and became conscious of what drug addiction was, I realized what she was going through. And it's because of her addiction that it dictated a lot of opportunities that were lost in my life and helped to guide me into a certain direction that led me to doing certain things, just being rebellious, full of anger. And I look back now, and my mother, to this day, from 1985, she still struggled with addiction.
Wow.
Right now.
So your dad, I know, your dad played a role in making sure that you get back. What's your relationship?
Not my dad.
Not your dad.
My grandfather.
Your grandfather.
My
Okay.
dad didn't play any role in my life.
Okay, so your granddad was there playing that male part. All right. What's your relationship? Is he around today still?
No, he passed away in 1987. A few months, came back to New York maybe 6 or 7 months after I got back to New York.
Okay. All right. How old are you?
I'm 45.
45. Wow. You got any other siblings?
Yes, I have a younger sister from my mother, and I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters from my father, my biological father.
So how long you been home now?
The 17th would be 6 months.
Okay.
Wow.
So on the 17th is every month on the 17th, I consider that my rebirth day. October 27th is my birthday. The 17th, the day I came home, February 17th, is my rebirth day.
Nice.
No question.
I walked into a whole new world, a brand new person. So
And so, what was you arrested or convicted for?
I was arrested and convicted for murder in the second degree. In 1997, August of 1997, me and a friend of mine had gotten into a dispute over another friend, and it escalated fast. At the time, I felt like he violated me. He did something that he wasn't supposed to do. I left and I came back. I shot him 6 times and killed him. Right? I was on a run for maybe 6 months. I got arrested back in Brooklyn. I was between Virginia, coming back and forth, in and out of state, and I got arrested in August of 1997.
And I noticed your facial expression when you kind of talk about that, right? And I think me and Eric can attest. We kind of grew up in the same dynamics, right? Same thing. We literally had friends that killed other friends in the neighborhood. Right? How has that impacted your life and what you want to do today?
Well, first of all, I think about that every day. Like I took I took something from somebody that I can't never give back. I can't. There's no way I could ever pay his mother back, his family back for what I took away from them. And I think about how my actions altered each person in his family's lives, the people who he could have touched. Just
Absolutely.
Like people that touched me and guided me throughout my life, and just like what my mother was going through, how that affected me. I think about that, right? And so during my incarceration, like so many of us, I wasted a lot of years just doing time. And then it wasn't like one particular moment where I could say a light bulb went off and I was like, I need to get my thing together. But there was an event at Sing Sing that Eric was a part of. And at the time it was called Forgotten Voices. And they had opened it up to the population. And they had brought some senators and all of these dignitaries and people from...
Shout out to Job, Blaze, a couple of other brothers.
Every last one of them, because like for real, that right there, so we went down to the auditorium and they had like a town hall meeting. And I'm sitting there, like these are my friends. These are guys that I'm in the yard with, that I'm on the gallery with, I'm eating with, and I'm watching what they doing, and I'm watching what they talking about. I'm watching how serious they are about who they are in prison and what's going on in our neighborhoods, what's going on in our communities. And that was kind of like, pardon me, the light bulb, if it was a light bulb. But that was the moment where I could say, I was like, yo, you know what? I need to get my shit together. Because, like, this not a shot, but I knew I was smarter than some of the motherfuckers that was on that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right, up to that point, how long was you already locked up to that point?
That was, what year was that? 2011, 2010, 2011. So I was probably about 10, 12 years. About 12, 13 years.
Okay.
I had at that time I had got my GED. I did AVP, a few the volunteer programs. But
Tell the people what AVP is.
Alternative to Violence Program.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Yes. Big up the AVP,
yeah,
man.
no doubt. All the volunteers, everybody that come and
that's right.
And volunteer their time to help people that they don't even know. For me, it was, I really appreciated everybody that walked in and out of those facilities, because you know what they go through coming into the facilities.
No question.
Right? But
the harassment, everything that they gotta go through.
yeah, and still they come back.
Get to help us
5 days a week, on the weekends, hot, cold, all of that. But
shout out to the volunteers, man.
Yeah,
New York
definitely.
State Prison, man.
Yes,
yeah, this shout out day, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Shout out, you know what I mean, to everybody that's in there, man, that's trying to do something positive, right?
Yeah.
So, and you know what? We're talking about me and Eric, about never too late for change, right? It's never too
Absolutely.
late to make a positive impact. In those 10 to 12 years before this whole thing took place, and you came to that realization, I like to call it like an epiphany, right? It's to wake up, something clicks in us, right? And I tell people this all the time. Eventually, as we grow up and we go through life, right? Two things either happen. Either you stay stuck where you at, right? Or you become conscious to be aware of when that light is coming off and saying, hey, listen, got a better plan for you.
Absolutely.
You can.
Absolutely.
You will. You have to make better changes. And we either take heed to that and start doing what we can to educate, to do better and be better, right? Not for no one else, but because it's just something that's eternal. Like you can't buy this shit. You can't go to the canteen and say, hey, give me some heart with some compassion, a little bit of love and understanding. Right? That thing just has to come naturally.
Can't get it in a classroom, none of that.
Right? In those first 10 to 12 years, like what's the worst thing that you seen while you was in prison? 'Cause I'm sure you seen some shit. Like what was some shit that made you say like, yo, I don't want to do this no more, man. This shit is crazy.
Man, that's hard. You see so much stuff. I think the one thing that comes to my mind right now, it's a guy that I knew, a friend of mine. He had started like losing his mind. He started going through stuff mentally, and just one thing. Now I didn't see it. I heard what happened after the fact. He had in the middle of the night just woke up screaming, and I don't know if you remember this because you were still in Sing Sing. He had like wrapped toilet tissue all around him, and he set himself on fire.
That was,
He set himself like, and I mean, I look at that and I was like, yo, damn, what could somebody possibly be going through mentally in a cell that you wake up in the middle of the night screaming and then you would just like set yourself on fire, right? And I think that was like yo, that was
crazy,
like horrible
moments. So I like to also like go back to what you was talking about in terms of taking that accountability, and I think all too well that's the surrounding that we in. We're in a small chosen few, but we our whole thing is getting that out to society, showing that there are some of us that's remorseful and that's taking full responsibility and accountability for our actions. I would also say that you absolutely right about what you taking from this person that you killed, family, but we also took from society. We also took a young man from society too, because at the end of the day he could have been what we are. You know what I'm saying? Anything, you know what I mean, could have happened where he could have been a benefit to the community, to society as a whole. So when I look at that, that's what I do, in terms of my accountability. I look at, damn, we took somebody off the face of the earth that, and we can't repay that, never. You can never repay that. At the same time, we live and we make sure we do right now, So also I just want to know, like, in your past, like when you first was coming up, what prison you landed in?
So I did a lot of time on Rikers Island, little scared bids, getting locked up, 30 days here, 60 days here. But for this case, after I got sentenced, my first state jail was Shawanga.
Okay.
That was, so Shawanga's a high class, high security, high profile prison. I was at the time when I got there. The crazy thing, Jerry the Jew was there.
Yeah.
So Jerry the Jew had the oldest number in the state at the time, right? And I was the 177th person that came upstate in 1999. I was the first person in Shawanga with a 1999 number. And I remember this officer, we went to the barber shop, we had to sit in the hallway, you had to put your ID on the desk, and he looked at my ID, because I looked young, I was 20 years old, right? And he was like, wow, Jerry the Jew was actually in the barber, so he in the chair, so he looking at two IDs, so he like, yo, come here. So he shows me the IDs, right? He's like, I got the oldest number in the state and I got the newest number in the state. In one place at one time, right? One of the things that, like, I met a lot of good people in Shawanga. Like, it was kind of crazy because everybody there had 20, 30 years in,
better, yeah.
right? And I'm here I am, I got a year, 30, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
15, 16 months in. And my man told me, Super G passed away. He was like, yo, you gonna see that number turning. He was like, yo, it's a new number now. He said, but you gonna see young dudes come up and your number gonna be an old number and you gonna see new numbers. Oh. And that's exactly what happened. I start seeing the 10 numbers, 15 numbers. I'm sitting there and they, you know, little young dudes start calling me OT. And I'm like, OT.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know what I mean? But yeah.
But I think that I was just talking yesterday. We was talking to brother Lawrence Bartley. Shout out to Job, you know. Yeah. So Job, we was talking about prisons that you land in when you first, you know, come into the system, and how, you know, some prisons are progressive, some prisons are gladiator schools. Yeah. You know, so, and I was talking about, you know, these things being our blessings. Some of these things, you know, I unfortunately. But fortunately, at the same time, I can, you know, count my points on, you know, how I wound up at Clinton. You know, when I first came up north, first place was Clinton Correctional Facility, and when I hear you say Shawanga, that sound to me. I never been to Shawanga, but I heard all about Shawanga all my years, and I known a lot of people that was there, and there was a lot of older brothers. So that sound like a more progressive prison where you can actually. You know, where brothers are actually take you under that wing and guide you in the law library, guide you in the right direction.
That's exactly what happened. So one of the things that I wanted to do, I didn't want to sit in the classroom. So, you know, when you first get up north, you don't got a GED, you don't got a high school diploma, you have to go to school.
That's right.
So I got to Shawanga January 7th, 1999. So I got in school, but they had already took the tape test, whatever test it was that you take in order to qualify to take the GED. So I had missed out, but I had took the following. Back then, that's when they would do like GED tests every 90 days or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, I was in school, whatever. I've always been smart. I've never been a dummy, even though I did some dumb shit sometimes. But the first opportunity that I had to take the GED test, I took it passed. I was like, yeah, I gotta take it.
Nice. That's
right. Like, I was like, you know,
let's get a shout out.
I was proud about that. I think that was something that it was more of an accomplishment for my grandmother than anything, because that was like, that made her day. She was like, yo, even though you did what you did, you can, you know what I mean, you can still thrive, you can still do good or whatever.
Absolutely.
And so that's part. After I got my GED, then I did the teacher's aid, helping other guys get their GED and stuff like that.
I think that's a great thing, though, that I can say about New York State, though, is that, you know, a person don't have that education, they do tell you got to go to school. And I really don't see why people don't take advantage of that. Like, I got my GED in Green, right? But I've been in different states in prison. Pennsylvania, Georgia, Florida. They just don't care. It's just straight road. It's just whatever. So you got a lot of people that just go through their whole biz, never getting that growth and development, never getting that education, never knowing what their full potentials are. And given, a lot of people, even with the opportunity presented to them, they don't take it. Right? You just want to do dead time, and you kind of figure out, I'll just wait till I get home.
But some of those states don't even offer educational programs.
That's what I'm saying. So New York State, hey, listen, New York State, I think personally, because I've been in 4 different states doing bids, that New York State, when it comes to programming and education, I think they're doing a little better than other states. Right, especially with vocational programming and stuff like that. In other states, man, they just give you a freaking little pamphlet, and they go here and learn your stuff.
So did you have any drive after your GED for higher education of any sort, or where'd you go after that? Like,
so in Shawanga back then, there was no college or anything that was offered there. It came later. Later when they got it now, Hudson Link. But I
Shout out
wound
to
up,
Hudson Link.
I had got into it with an officer and went to the box. Me, Fruquan, shout out to my boy Fru, he home doing
Yeah,
big
peace,
things.
Fru.
You know what I mean? I'm proud of you, bro.
Yeah.
And a Muslim brother, Hakeem, and they gave me a year in the box for a demonstration. So I went to upstate box. I think I had got a time cut, 6-month time cut. I went back down to the island for paternity suit. Found out that my daughter, or at least I thought was my daughter, wasn't my daughter. Went back upstate. I got out of upstate box. They sent me to Attica.
And there.
Yeah. So Attica, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
Different hit.
right?
Yeah.
But Attica at the time, it did have a college program, but I wasn't the right type of individual to get into college in Attica. You know, only certain types of people got in college. I did try to get in. I was at Attica for like 2.5 years. I got approved for area preference transfer. I wanted to go to Sullivan.
Yeah.
But I want my counselor at the time. He was like, "Yo," I was like, "How long is the waiting list to get to Sullivan?" So he was like, 18 months. So I was like, "What about NAPS?" He said, "Oh, that's 24 months." I said, "What's the closest jail to New York City I can get to with the shortest waiting time?" He said, Sing Sing. So I put in for it. That was a Thursday. Monday morning, I was on the draft.
Okay, before you go to Sing Sing,
Wait.
I wanna unpackage that what you just talked about.
Yeah.
You know, you need a different kind of person that goes to the college.
All right,
of Attica. So explain that a little more.
Yeah.
So back then, right? I was heavily. I really wanted to do programs. Because Attica is Attica. Attica always been Attica. Is going to always be Attica. It's a little different now because they got all the cameras there, and it kind of curbs a lot of the stuff, at least from the officers' side, doing stuff. So I went down to the school building one day, and I had talked to my gallery officer. I was like, "Look, I'm trying to get in college. You know, can I get down? Give me a pass. I want to go there." And so he called over there. And they sent me over there. So I happened to walk past the class, and I seen everybody that was in it. It was only white dudes in the college classroom. And I was like, I took notice of it. I didn't necessarily. I was like, okay, well maybe whatever.
Yeah, they all smart.
Everybody else not signing up.
Yeah.
But when I put in my paperwork, I had just got rejected without any reason, anything. It was like, yo, we didn't get accepted.
Wow.
And I was like, wow.
Just start piecing the puzzle together.
But then I noticed
two.
after being there, because it was guys that was coming there getting out of the box, they was doing, they wanted to get on do what they wanted to do, and everybody was getting turned down. But then there were guys who were same thing, was getting in, and it happened to be white guys, right? And so that's like all around the state.
Yeah.
Like certain types of jobs, you're not getting because these are reserved for white guys.
Absolutely.
Just like that escape, that Matt and all them. The reason why they was in that position is because those are the type of people who had those type of jobs.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, the public might have been like, "Oh, yeah, that was crazy," but we knew, like, okay, yeah, they give them type of jobs, and they give them mad leeway. You see them walk around with saws and all that shit. You understand what I'm saying? So it wasn't surprising. So that was the end of my college dreams in Attica. Right? Basically, so the next, believe it or not, the next best job or the next best thing to do in Attica is a porter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was you get a little enmities. I had me some cooking equipment that everybody else didn't have, stuff like that.
So you get to Sing Sing.
Yeah.
You made it there.
So I get to Sing Sing.
You had any clue?
I know. So
did you have any clue about Sing Sing before you landed?
Of course, because Sing Sing had, just like Attica, has always had a reputation for being a particular type of spot. It's loose, it's so check it, right? I'll never forget this. When I'm on the draft in Attica, I go down to the draft room, take my property down there. So I asked the officer, I said, "Yo, where I'm going?" So he was like, "Yo, you going to Sing Sing?" So I'm like, all right. So I got back to the gallery and all that. So he's like, yo, Al, where you going? I was like, yo, I'm going to Sing Sing. Dudes was like, oh, man. Like, yo, you good money now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo. And then they start giving the rundown. Yo, they got this. You could go here. They selling pussy. They doing all kind of, like, when I got there, a lot of that stuff wasn't happening anymore.
Yeah, but it was on the low.
It wasn't on the low. They was still shaking out. It wasn't like it used to be. Like,
it wasn't loose.
Years ago, you used to, and it was still guys that were there.
You get pussy right in the cell.
We heard about that.
That was still going on. I can't do nothing about it now. Yeah, but I helped my man now while he in there busting the chick ass. You know what I'm saying? And but in the movie theater, in the chapel area where the projector's at, that's where they like, dude, you come in, get a little whoever is
get that money too.
You get the money too. You go up there, you get your shit off, you come back there, and you watch the movie.
Right.
That's what it used to be.
Right.
It wasn't like that when I got there, but it still was Sing Sing. It was like first day I got there, I'm in the draft room. My man is standing. He comes up. I think he going to the state shop or something. So he see me like, yo, what's up? So I'm like, hey, he like, yo, you gonna be on quarantine tonight? He like, yo, you get off the mall, come to the barbershop. So I'm like, all right. Now mind you, I'm still in Attica mode. Anybody that been in Attica mode, you know, it's quiet and everybody there is militant. Ain't no playing, ain't no joking around, none of that. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm in a certain mindset.
Right.
Now I get the Sing Sing. It's because people had said this, I already knew it's not like Attica, but it was still like this shock, this culture shock. So that night I got up quarantine. The next morning I go to the barbershop. The next afternoon I go to the barbershop. I meet him there. We up in the barbershop. So he's like, yo, when we go back, we're gonna go to A Block Gym. I'm like, I'm in 5 building. I can't go to A Block Gym. He's like, yo, nah, I guess you can. I'm like, yo, bro, like I'm not walking around the jail, you know what I mean? But at the time I didn't know that you could go to. Anyway, I go to A Block. That's when they had the big speaker hanging from the TV and the door open. When I tell you, I thought that I was on 42nd Street. The door opened, a bunch of weed smoke hit me. The music blasted. I'm like, oh shit! Like I walk in, I'm looking. Yo, this dude smoked cigarette. They in the gym. It's police playing cards at the table with dudes. We go on the basketball court. They over there blowing. You know what I mean? My man, he introduced, yo, this wrong. But I see dudes that I know. And that night I go to the yard. It's a female. She don't work there no more. But by the phones, she always kept the little dark Versace shades on. Kept them on. So we go. I'm like, I gotta go get on the phone. Me and my man, we walk over there. So he goes over to the chick that's in the booth. So he called me like, yo, come here. He like, yo, this is my homegirl right here. So I'm like, how you doing? So she like, yo, what's up? I'm looking at him like, I'm not used to officers like, you know, because like I said, I'm in Attica mode.
Right. We don't play with
back and forth with the police, and it kind of threw me off guard because I'm like, yo, what's up? So she like, yo, you drink? So I'm like, drink what? So she like, liquor, nigga. So I'm like, yeah, I drink liquor. What's up? So she said, yo, go get a cup. I look at my man. He like, yo, go get a cup. He like, yo, they selling cups right over there. That's when in Sing Sing you could go. The yard was like the dudes. Like you got these T-shirts on the gate. And motherfuckers got everything. All
different types.
So I go over there. Some dude, he selling coffee, whatever. He got the little jug. So I go, let me get a cup. Give him a stand for the cup. I come back. So I gives her the cup. She reached down, New York bottle in a brown paper bag. Yo, here. I'm like, oh shit. This shit is like it's really like this. Yeah. So I take a sip. But in my mind, I'm like, yo, these motherfuckers trying to set me up. So I take a sip. So she like, yo, drink that. I'm gonna give you some more. So I take another sip. She like, yo, drink it. So I guzzle it down, give it to her. She give me another. She like, yo, you good? I'm like, yeah. We walk off. I'm like, yo, son. You know, like it was just like that was a part of the reason why it took me a few years to get to what I needed to get to in Sing Sing. Right?
The influence.
Like, cause it was like you didn't even necessarily have to be selling drugs to make money in Sing Sing.
That's right.
You didn't have to be doing anything that could basically get you jammed up and send you to the box because it was just so much money there.
So at that point, right after that, because like I said, I've been in Attica, so I know that mindset and going through that, right? So at what point you was like, you know what, yo, all right, I can continue to do this and continue to just finish my time doing this, the BS in the yard and getting all this stuff and act like I'm in New York and forget my hopes and dreams of going home and doing something positive. Well, let me take my ass into the school. Let me start going for the college program. Let me get involved in doing something that's going to be more proactive in my release and in my life when I get out, so I can be something and don't have to come back to this situation.
So my journey in to higher education is a little crazy. If Jermaine was here, he'd be like, so I'm gonna tell the story. I said that I would never tell the story again. So in 2007,
Listen up, we got the exclusive here.
yeah. So in
One time only.
2007, like I said, Sing Sing is like the leader in higher education, at least for the facility wise, because it's like probably the only facility in the world that offers a master's degree program.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right, but at the time they had CMP. CMP was a Christian, what was it, ministry program.
Yep.
They had lost their accreditation. So the way that you got into Mercy College at Sing Sing is that you either had college credits or you took CMP. And CMP was a year. It was a year long, 5 days a week, and then they gave you, I think, 3 credits, and you could get into Mercy through that. They had lost their accreditation, so they no longer offer credits. So Brian Fisher at the time, one of the most progressive and program oriented superintendents. Like, I take my hat off to him. Even though it was a prison, this dude, he really was for programming and allowing a lot of stuff to happen in Sing Sing to happen. So definitely want to acknowledge him. He knew that. He had realized that, okay, now because CMP lost their accreditation, there's going to be a bunch of people who want to get into college that might just have a GED or high school diploma that can't get in because they don't have college credits. So what he did was he had, I guess, the counselors or whoever go through everybody's record and see everybody that had either a high school diploma or a GED. And what he did was they had this thing called college readiness. So I just got a call out at on my gate one day. For people who listen, and the call out is you get a sheet of paper and it tells you where you need to go the next day, where it was a hospital appointment, whatever. But it said the school building. So I'm looking like, what is this? I ain't signing up for nothing. So I goes down there. Nigel and Sticks
Okay.
are Hudson Links clerks.
That's right.
Right? So we go in the room, this is like the 207, 209, it's a double room. That's packed. They got like 2 more classrooms packed. And these are all the people in the facility who...
Yeah, I was in the classroom that day.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Right? So, watch it when I get to the end of the story. What year you got your master's?
2014.
2014, watch this. So they basically broke it down. They was like, look, told us what it was or whatever the case may be. It was like, yo, this is your opportunity to get into college. Like, if you get through this, well, initially you had to take the entry exam. Based off your score on the entry exam, you could either go straight into college or you take like a college prep class, like a remedial class, right? At that time, I was like, I wasn't thinking about college. I'm still big. I'm still, It's 2007. So I took the entry exam. I had to take I forgot the class, EDU 101 with Whitty. It was this at the time. I think college readiness was like 9 months, may have been a year, 9 months. So I did the whole thing. The last night of the class was an oral presentation. Right? I had practiced my oral presentation. I'm in the mirror. I had my shit down packed. I was on H gallery, H52. That was my cell. They called a school run. I'm the first person out the door. Got my bag and all of that.
Yeah.
Right? And usually they never call H first. This night, the last night, I got to do my presentation. I get there and go down the hallway and all that. We stop where the bubble is at right there. It's a left to go into the school building, but the yard gate is right there. The yard door is open.
That crossroad.
Yeah.
The crossroad, we call it.
Right? Usually when the school run is going, the yard is after the school run.
Yeah.
So that gate is closed. But for whatever reasons, this night the gate was open. And it was an officer there that really didn't care what you did. Like, you run a hallway with him. So we standing there, had stopped because they wasn't ready in the school. So I'm standing there, and something in my mind was like, man, fuck that. Go to y'all tonight. I was like, I done took 8 tests. I done, scored good and all that shit. He ain't gonna give a fuck about this oral presentation. Not knowing Whitney is really for oral presentations. Like that was like 50% of the grade. I didn't even know that.
That's right.
My dumb ass go to the yard. I don't smoke weed. I don't get high. Right? I don't do drugs.
I think I remember that too.
I'm like dead serious.
Yeah.
I don't get high. I wasn't in no gang, none of that shit. I went to the yard that night and literally just sat there and watched TV and talk shit. I did nothing in the yard.
Wow.
Like a week later, I get the paper like I had got an F, like I failed. Right? Now, mind you, everybody else that was in the class, I think like 75 people had got selected to do the class or whatever, get in school. Now, so some years later, this is what inspired me. And I'm glad that I had the people around me that I had around me because they never let me forget that my dumb ass went to the yard that night. Jermaine in particular. Jermaine Archer, shout out, that's my boy. I go to the yard, I forgot what year it was. That was a year, I think Whoopi Goldberg and Usher came to the graduation. I go to the yard. I go to the table. I'm sitting there. It's like one other person there. I don't even know who this person is. I'm sitting there. I'm like, where the fuck everybody at? So somebody came out and they was walking to the phone. I'm like, yo, where everybody at? He was like, yo, they had the graduation. And I was like, I sat there. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, I'm supposed to be at the graduation right now. I felt fucked up, right? Because I'm just sitting in the yard. I'm like, and they wasn't just at the graduation. They was graduating. Right? This was Mercy College graduation. They did, like, some of them was, getting their bachelors and shit like that. I'm like, damn, man. Like, I'm fucking playing myself, man. So around, that was 2011. I was like, yo, I gotta find a way. That's when Miss Muhammad, God bless her dad, rest in peace to Miss Muhammad.
Shout out to Miss Muhammad.
Yes. Miss Muhammad, for anybody that knew Miss Muhammad, knows she ain't played no motherfucking games. This lady was dead ass serious.
We've been hearing a lot about her, man. So God bless her. So
she was like no bullshit. You can't run no bullshit on it. Like, she come from the same place we came from. Right. So I go to Miss Muhammad, I'm like, damn, I know she gonna fuck. I know she gonna wow on me. And she in the school building one day, so I tell Chris is the clerk now. Sticks done went home, Nigel home. So I'm like, yo, Chris, ask Miss Muhammad if I could talk to her. So he just smiled. So like, but you want to get to school? I'm like, yeah. He was like, you already know she gonna wow you. So I'm like, I know that. So she in the office, so he knocked on the door. So he like, yo, Leron out here, he want to speak to you. So she was like, put her head down. She was like, come here. So as soon as before I can even say nothing, she's like, you ain't getting in school. Get the fuck out of my office. I'm like, oh man. So I'm like, Mr. Muhammad, she was like, you heard what I said. She said, you had your shot. You had your shot. Right? So I break out. I was like, damn. I ain't gonna front. I was like, yo, I'm getting in school. I was like, I wasn't gonna let that deter me. So I was like, damn, I gotta figure out a way I could get Mr. Muhammad to let me in school. So ILC sponsors the summer classes. They pay for the summer classes. So I run for ILC. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get between her and this money. Right? So the first time I ran, I didn't get in. The second time I got in. Right? Tachi was the chairman. I was the vice president.
Yep.
So I tell Tachi, I'm like, well, look, I'm trying. Let me deal with the money. Cause I need to holler at Miss Muhammad. We go to the volunteer recognition dinner. It's the summertime. So I tell, like a week before that, I tell Chris, I'm like, yo, listen, when I said, yo, y'all getting ready to come to the ILC for the money for the summer classes, right? He was like, yeah. So I said, yo, let Miss Muhammad know I'm doing it. So we had the volunteer recognition dinner that night. They at the table. The Hudson Link got a table. I think I was down there at RTA's table. And Chris comes over to me. He like, yo, Miss Muhammad, I want to speak to you. So I'm like, all right. As soon as I go to the table, how you doing, Miss Muhammad? I sit down. So she looked at me and she was like, she ain't say nothing for a minute. She just looking at me. She was like, yo, you know what? I'm going to give you a shot. And I smiled. She was like, I don't want you to think that I'm going to give you a shot because of this money situation. She said, I know why you did what you did. Word up. And because of that, like, and I like at the table, I promised her, I was like, listen, I promise you, that I will not mess. I'm not gonna miss a day. I'm not gonna miss a class. I'm not gonna drop none of that. And I got in. My first class was March or April of 2015. May of 2020, I graduated with my bachelor's.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Let's get it.
You know what I'm saying?
And you see from 2007, now
Yeah.
that was 2007, we was in that room,
Yeah.
you know, taking that entry exam. All the way to 2015,
Yeah.
you still stayed on
Yeah.
course, man, and getting in there, man.
Yeah.
So that tells a lot.
What are you doing now? What do you do now?
So right now, I work for a supervised release program. I'm a court advocate, case manager. So basically, what I do, I'm a general case manager. So the court advocates, the supervised release program does this. When somebody is arrested, they go through at their arraignment. Instead of the judge holding them on bail or whatever the case, be sending them to Rikers Island, you got the court advocates to talk to the district attorney and the lawyer and the judge and say, listen, instead of sending this person, holding this person on Rikers Island until whatever happens with the case, release them to the supervised release program. And then once that happens, the court advocate, they do their assessment, their intake and their assessment, and then they come and they see me. And I sit down, interview them, just get some information on them, find out what they want to do, find out what their interest is, and connect them to the resources that they need. And it's three things only thing that we require them to do is check in when they're supposed to check in, depending on their level. Say someone is level 1, tier 1, level 3 or whatever. That means that they have to call me once a month and come twice a month for a face-to-face visit. And it's just basically helping them stay out of prison. So the second thing is don't get rearrested, right? Don't get rearrested. And so what I didn't say is that the resources that I connect them with are totally voluntary unless the judge mandates them to do a particular thing, like have to do a drug program or whatever the case may be. We can't force them to do anything. But where I come in at, the reason why I really like doing this is because I'm a little bit different because of who I am. I'm on parole right now. Right. So I tell them, like, a lot of people, they're resistant to it and whatever. I'm like, yo, bro, I'm on parole right now.
Right.
And I'm like, take advantage of this stuff because this stuff ain't gonna come around every day. And I really go hard. Like, I'm sitting there like, yo, you have an opportunity not to be me, not to go through what I'm going through. You know what I mean? Even before you go through the system, or you go through, through central bookings and all of that. But if you have the judge release you to the program, and we have to send these memos saying that this person is in compliance, this person is participating into these voluntary programs, they're trying to get themselves together, the judge takes that into consideration, and the district attorney takes that into consideration. And what usually happens is the case is reduced, and then that person winds up there, do whatever with the case. Like, they maybe dismiss the case or leave it open for like a year, and they say, okay, if you don't get into trouble for a year or 6 months or whatever the case may be,
they avoid that jail time.
Yeah, and so being able to do that, and it's a lot of young guys coming through right now, and I'm just sitting there like, it really feels good for me that I'm able to get them. I have access to them before they hit the mountains, before they hit Rikers Island.
And that's amazing. Like, I know that got to make you feel good, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you take a person from the dime, from where we come from to what we've been through, and to help someone, that case management work. And we talk about this. People don't understand case management is really helping a person navigate through the system of the know-how and getting the resources. Because everything is available to us through our phones, through our internet, and our computers, but a lot of people don't know where to start searching to go to places like Exodus, to go to places that offer some type of different route in education to help you stay out of going to prison.
Absolutely.
When you get that opportunity, I know it's got to feel good. It's got to feel good because no one can identify with a person in the streets than a person that came from the street.
So those closest to the solution are the ones that was closest to the problem.
So now I want to know, like, you know, you told me what you're doing out there, but what, you know, tell me why you go so hard with helping the community. What motivates you now to helping the community?
Because I went so hard with destroying my community, right? Like I look back and I would probably describe my mindset back then as like an urban terrorist, right? Like the shit that I was doing, the stuff that I was involved with, the people that I was involved with, and the shit that we was doing. Like we had our community, we had Ocean Hill, Brownsville held hostage. Like I remember times, and I'm not saying this with a sense of pride, I'm actually ashamed to say this. Like I used to, like I would turn the corner in a car and the whole block would run in the house, right? And at the time I'm like, yeah, these but you know,
that fear.
It was people living in fear. So now, and it's kind of crazy because I watch the news, and like during when I was locked up, I would watch the news. And like it'd be like 4 people shot in Brownsville. Now I'm afraid, like damn, because my little cousins, my sisters, my brother, my mother was out there. So I would go and try to get on the phone, like, yo, everybody all right? And I know that I realized that that's what I did to people. That's what I did to people's mothers. I had them living in that type of state of fear. You understand what I'm saying? And like now I look back like, damn, man. So I put the energy that I put into doing wrong is gonna be not even gonna compare to the energy that I put into doing right. And that's like, you know, that's who I surround myself with, and even people that like people from my past. They, when I see them now, it's like we having different conversations.
Yeah.
Because if you still in that place, like I'm not gonna reject you. I'm gonna pull you up and say, yo, look, that ain't what I'm doing no more. That's who I was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
So that's so sorry for cutting you off, but that's a question. Like, so you was locked up for gun violence. You know what I'm saying? So for destroying the community, what have you, right? So now I'm saying quickly, like, you know, tell me what you're doing now to combat gun violence.
Well, you know, we formed the Voices from Within. We did the video that the 7-minute video. Right now I'm working on a bunch of different projects to do that we going out into the community. What we trying to do is get in touch with the leaders, the OGs, the people who call the shots, and trying to get them together, have a conversation with them and say, look, right, this is your responsibility. It's my responsibility too, because like some of the people that's doing stuff now, I influenced them. Little young dude from around my way just told me that I went to see my grandmother. My cousin just got killed the weekend before last.
So I hear that.
So I was over there, and my homegirl's son, he was young. I didn't even remember him. My uncle had to tell me who he was. I'm like, yo, who's this? So she told me, like, yo, that's Teresa's son. And he's sitting there telling me, like, yo, man, I remember watching him, this, that, and the other, but I know what he doing now. So he's like, yo, you don't know how much an impact you had on me. And I'm sitting there, I felt bad because he thinking, like, I guess he like, yo, he might, I'm like, it was like a little barbecue they was having, so I pulled him up to the side, and I'm talking like, yo, bro, that ain't what it is, man. I was like, yo, what you saw me doing, like, that's not what you supposed to follow. You think what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, I feel fucked up that you I'm like, yo, that shit ain't cool. So he looking at me, he like, yeah, but it ain't nothing else. It is something else out here, right? And a lot of young people have that mentality because they don't know that resources out here. So I was like, yo, give me a number. I got his number in my phone right now. So yo, listen, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna plug you in with some shit. I was like, yo, but we can't, like, that ain't what you doing. Like, don't do that. Like, don't follow what the fuck I said. You see what I just went through. So we got we just formed with my lawyer Steve Zeitman, the Executive Clemency Advisory Board. We got a meeting with some people from Kathy Hochul's office next month. We sitting there. We gonna try to basically what we doing, like the guests on your show, the men and women who did what they did their time, they come home that now doing good. We saying, look, like, exercise that clemency power that you have, because we need help. Like, the people that's out here on the front lines, like, we need y'all help. You dig what I'm saying? We can go. You can go into the Bronx and talk to some of them little young dudes that's out there because of who you are, who you were. We have a certain influence, and people look up to us, and they're gonna listen to us, right? And so that's one of the projects. We got another one trying to do a Voices from Within Family Picnic Day, where we try to get some guests to come out and different resources to come out and like do a jobs fair. It's a lot of stuff. Like trying to bunch it all in. It's another. We doing me, Bobby Rose, and Big Ty doing a Know Your Rights like a little campaign where we go to different neighborhoods and we just teaching young people about knowing your rights, how to respond to interactions with police officers and stuff like that. What else? Working on my personal project, working on a film project. Like I was telling Eric, like I'm really appreciate what y'all doing with Success After Lockdown and highlighting these stories of people who come home from prison that's doing the right thing. Because if you look at the news, all we doing is coming home from prison, picking up guns, shooting people. They're not gonna tell the story. They're not gonna tell.
Absolutely.
They're not gonna because it doesn't go with their bottom line. It doesn't go with how they want to portray us. They need to keep them prisons open, right? Because it's money generating. They're not gonna talk about what you doing now, what any of us doing now. They're not gonna highlight, so it's on us. You understand what I'm saying? The responsibility is
That's
on us.
actually why this platform was created, man. You know what I mean? To highlight those successes.
Absolutely.
To highlight, I guess to dispel that myth, you know, and that overshadowing recidivism rate that we
change
see
the
every
stigma.
day.
Bottom line,
You know what I
right?
mean?
Just change that stigma. You know, people love a negative story, right? That's what they're gonna want to see. You turn on the news. You turn on the news for two things. You want to see the weather, and you want to see who the hell got hurt. Right? Nobody wants to hear who really won the $1 billion lottery because it wasn't me, then F that person, right? But to showcase that men and women who have made some wrong choices as a young adult and paid for that, but in that transition of doing their time, they did the time. They didn't let the time do them. So they came out, they educated themselves, like you brothers and sisters that we've been interviewing, you know, have done something with their time. They coming back and they trying to make a positive change, one person at a time. And that's all it takes, and that's all we can do. All right?
Absolutely.
Define who we are today. Don't hold me for what I did yesterday. Not that person. And that's what the world needs to see.
No question. So I'm here. So listen. I'm here to welcome you home.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And I'm also here to welcome you to Success After Lockdown team, man.
Let's go. Let's
work with us, man. We work to making sure that we get this message out there, man.
Absolutely.
We look forward to big things in the future, man. You know, we got that documentary, you know, that Success After Lockdown documentary, as well as that, you know,
TV show,
TV reality series, you know.
We're working on some things, man.
That's right.
Thank you.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I know one thing that needs to happen in Success After Lockdown need to be shown inside correctional facilities.
Oh, we already did.
There you go. We working on that. There you go.
Know what I mean? Listen, I get calls from dudes up north every day.
No
Every
question.
day, and they like, yo, what's going on out there? And I'm letting them know, like, look, this is what guys out here doing. You understand what I'm saying? And I was talking to Chucky yesterday, last night. As a matter of fact, when I was supposed to be here, my bad, boy. And I was telling them, I was like, yo.
Yeah, we got you. We got you on that list, man.
Better late than never, right?
Yeah,
I was just telling them, like, yo, listen, spread the word in there, like, yo, look, this is what we out here doing, man. This is what people doing. Like, success after lockdown don't start when you come home. Success after lockdown start while you still locked up, preparing yourself to be successful. You understand what I'm saying? Because you can't just come home and think that somebody you ain't gonna just get no work. You have to put that work in.
This is why I created it while we were in behind that wall, man.
Absolutely.
And not out here, you know.
Absolutely.
This is why it's gonna be as successful as it is, man.
Re-entry starts the day you get in it.
Absolutely.
That's
The day you get in,
Absolutely.
start
Going.
preparing. No matter what that number is, you got to start preparing and have that little glimmer of hope that one day I am going to go home. And so what I'm going to do when I get home? How am I going to be able to provide for myself, for my family, for those that's been there with me and held me down through this whole time, right? And how can I give back to my community for the stuff that I easily destroyed when I was out there?
Again, I want to congratulate you on your journey, man, and your successes, man.
Thank you again.
And I want to salute y'all for creating this platform, man, and giving people who been through what they've been through and that's out here, giving them this platform and say, look, you know what I mean, to reach somebody.
No question.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, like, I know what I've been through, and I know who I am. I'm not going to let anybody else tell somebody else who I am, right? It's on each one of us to tell our story, and it's on each one of us to try. We can't repair what we've done, but to change and alter, reach those young people that's out there doing
We taking success after lockdown to the community, man.
Yeah.
taking it national.
We taking it
Yeah.
national.
Taking it national to international.
Absolutely.
And,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
man. And again, thank you for being on the show, man. Again, thank you. You know, I want to give a shout out to everybody that's out there, man, that's been tuning in to our YouTube, our Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcast,
Instagram, Facebook,
to Exodus Productions, to Julio for letting use the
TikTok.
studio, for being a part of this.
Success after
the
lockdown
journey.
everywhere.
You know what I mean? Let your people know they can go follow us on any one of those social media to subscribe to our links. Drop some comments. Drop an email if you want at successafterlockdown@gmail.com. And just remember, people, man, that positive choices is easier to make than the negative ones because they have real bad, serious consequences, man. And stay positive, stay on the journey, and Success After Lockdown will continue to keep going forward to all those out there. My brother Eric, anything you got to say?
Peace. That's it, baby.